out of 40,000 plus entrepreneurs that apply, they narrowed down to pretty close to 200, 150, 200, and then half would pitch in June, half would pitch in September.
What was the top number? You said 40,000?
40,000 plus, yeah. I mean,
and who's analyzing that?
So the producers.
Okay.
So they have their first tier of diligence, which includes a part of their criteria is obviously you are an actual business.
Yeah.
But also they look at from a different lens from an investor. Is it going to be good TV, right?
Right.
And then you have a lot of applicants go through the website. Then you have scouts that go to trade shows that are industry specific. And then they do casting calls in major cities. And they announce it, and you have entrepreneurs waiting in line just to get a chance to pitch. But yeah, I mean, it is a process. I think somebody once said that statistically it's harder to get to Stanford than to actually get on a Shark Tank to pitch. And the way it works is, I mean, think about all the sharks and their busy schedules. They book a year in advance, and they know that for that 1 week, they're going to be in the studios morning to night. And they have no idea who's walking through those doors when they open.
No preparation.
No.
Yeah.
And the entrepreneurs the producers help the entrepreneurs kind of put together their opening pitch with the props and the music. But that's it. After that 1 minute pitch, it's 100% unscripted. Anything goes, no retakes. So if you really screw up your pitch and the producers think it's good TV,
yeah,
it's
if you make a fool, you're going to be on TV.
Yeah, exactly. But some people say there's no bad advertising. It's still being on the show is always going to be a benefit because. Especially now that's syndicated on CNBC, it's there 24 hours.
Oh, wow.
So it's like the gift that keeps on giving, right? If you have a website, you don't have to, have a company that's scaling to 100 million. You could have a hobby business on Shark Tank, and a lot of them end up being hobby businesses, and, they do relatively well. Entrepreneurs eventually, some of them that don't do well end up getting full-time jobs, but the website's still working, and traffic still comes on a regular basis, and ends up being a hobby business.
I have a friend that was on Shark Tank, and she's very thankful that she did not get picked up.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you were there.
But she aired? Did she air?
She aired.
Yeah.
Lion Latch with Lion Latch. So she has these little devices where you put the jewelry in it, and nobody gave her offering.
Yeah.
Which she's thankful for because she didn't have to give up equity, obviously.
Because you give up a lot of equity in the show.
Yeah. And then she's extremely successful.
Yeah.
She is actually one of the first people on TikTok Shop that got picked up by TikTok, and TikTok flew around the world to promote TikTok Shop.
Yeah.
And and she lives in, I don't know, some small town in South Texas, and literally she keeps that post office running because she mails out so much product.
Exactly. And TikTok now is the new platform for
shifted
commerce online. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so going back, I think a lot of entrepreneurs that go through it, some regret giving up too much equity, and some regret not getting a deal. It depends. But as long as, and it's same with, not just Shark Tank, but when you are working with investors, you have to make sure it's the right investor that's a good fit for you, that can add value, right? And depending on what you want from an investor, it's not just the check. A lot of people can just write a check. What you really want is the right smart investors, especially if it's early stage, which a lot of Shark Tank companies are pretty much in an earlier stage of you really need investors that are hands-on, great advisors, have experience. It's not just a check.
Yeah.
But so on the diligence side, which was your question, the sharks and the average pitch is probably an hour plus.
Really?
So there's a lot of back and forth. It's not like a decision.
Don't they distill that to like 5 minutes?
Yeah. But they're not going to make a decision in 5 minutes.
Right.
It's an hour plus pitch.
Wow.
And when you see a handshake deal, it's a true commitment to invest. assuming no red flags during diligence. So diligence happens after. So the sharks would come back to their teams and they would have a list of companies. And well, on the Shark Tank side, it was anything from financials didn't add up, right? You claimed you were doing 5 million in sales and your books show 3. You claimed you had a commitment from Walmart and it's just an email, right? You probably said, yeah, we're good. IP wise, we've hired the best IP attorneys, and your intellectual property is not that solid, right? Or you might have a lawsuit you didn't disclose that pops up in diligence. Mm-hmm. There's a number of things, and that's where, if you're not being transparent up front,
right,
and this stuff shows up later in the diligence process, it's not good. That's not a good way to build a relationship.
So the handshake is solid, assuming you acted in good faith.
Exactly. And sometimes you'll be surprised, entrepreneurs don't respond. The investors, the sharks teams go out and say, hey, here's a list of requirements and documents we need from you, and they don't respond.
Silent.
And it's some of them most probably because they call them like gold diggers in Shark Tank. That's like, because the intention was to get on a show just for the exposure. They had no intention of making a deal. And some of them, you notice, they don't even go through that stage. They come up with a crazy valuation, knowing that the sharks will not bite. And they'll stick to their number, and then they get the exposure and walk out without giving any equity. I think there's one company that did it twice. And after that, they changed some of the way they put companies on the show. So in the earlier days, the producers pretty much put the schedule together without any feedback from the sharks. So when the episode aired, it could be a company that the sharks looked at, they had a handshake deal, but after the fact didn't close. So now everyone thinks that, shark invested in this company, but in reality, they did a handshake deal. The deal really never actually get to close. What happened, because the companies were abusing the platform,
because they got the exposure, which
yes.
probably led to other investors.
Right. So kind of the most recent, this was 5 years ago, they would ask for feedback from the sharks. Did this deal close? Okay, then we're going to slot it in. If it didn't, there's a good chance it wouldn't air.
Okay.
Which is a great way to kind of, as an adjustment.
Yeah, it stops the abuse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And from a consumer, you know that, this is a company that actually closed, and you're happy to support them.